All right, we're here in the Ouray Ice Park. As you can see behind me, there's the lower part of the ice park, and we thought we'd go through a bit of the gear we used on this photo shoot. Starting off, we're gonna go through my DSLR kit. There's two Nikon D50s here. Excellent camera, one of my favorite cameras that's ever been produced by any company. For this one, I used basically two lenses. A Nikon 24-70 2.8, and then I also used the 14-24 at one point as well. And this thing's a beast. In this case though, I also have a Skyport Plus HS. I've got an 85-1.4, a 24-1.4, a fisheye, a teleconverter. I've got a number of camera straps here, some battery chargers, a 70-200. So I actually just got these rugged cases, waterproof, tough outer shell to hold my memory cards. I'm getting bigger and bigger memory cards these days. There's also a 300 f4 in here. None of that really got used since I was mostly shooting with the Hasselblad. So one thing I did use quite a bit was the Sekonic L478DR-U. It's a light meter with a touchscreen. It works with my Elinchrom, so I can pop the flashes straight from the light meter. And down in the bottom of the canyon, I could just have my assistant tilt the flash head towards me, pop it, and I could get a pretty accurate reading of the light at the bottom of the canyon, like 100 feet down, which was very helpful. Additional things I have in here are like lens cleaning cloths, extra lens caps, extra batteries. I also have a Hoodman loop. This is something I use quite a bit, especially in some place like this where it's really bright. Just like a loop you'd look at slides with back in the day, but you can put this on your camera and look at the LCD on the back of the LCD. I can also check focus. I'm looking at the histogram on the back of the camera as well, but I'm also looking at those shadows and where they are, and if I need to move or reposition the lighting to change the shadows or exactly how it's illuminating the climber. That's it for the DSLR stuff. We'll move on to the medium format camera that I use for most of this shoot. All right, going through the medium format kit here. First off, I have my medium format rig is a Hasselblad H5D. It's the 50C CMOS sensor, which is an incredible camera. The main lens I use for this shoot is a 24. That's an f4.8, I believe, from Hasselblad. I also have a 150mm lens here. I did use the 100mm f2.2. The big monster lens we were shooting with for this kit was the 50-110. Let me open the lens hood, but this thing is just gigantic. And basically, I can't even handhold this thing, it's so heavy. So it just covers a lot of range in one lens. Also, I've got another one of these, I think this is a Pelican case, actually, with memory cards in it. Also, we've got over here a few extra batteries. The batteries are the grip for the camera. So this is essentially the grip you're holding onto. It just snaps onto the bottom of the camera. So the other thing we did use, especially for the portraits, is the X-Rite color checker passport. This really allows me to dial in the color and make sure that I'm getting accurate skin tones when I'm taking the portraits, so at least it's a good starting point when I start working up the images. There's lens hoods over here. This is an interesting little thing. On the camera itself, I have an L bracket, as you can see, that goes around the bottom to the side. And basically, I would loop this webbing through the L bracket and then clip that to my harness so that the camera was always attached to me, and even if I dropped it, it wasn't going to go into the bottom of the canyon. The other thing you'll notice on here is I do have a Peak Designs hand strap, and I also have attachments for another Peak Design strap so that I can basically wear the camera over my head before I put it on the tripod or whatever I'm doing. Let's see what else. We got some lens hoods in here. I also have a teleconverter for these lenses, but I did not use it for this shoot, so this is just a teleconverter that's a 1.7. Another easy thing, I have these e-wipes. This sensor actually just pulls off the back and it's flat, and if I need to clean the sensor, which I did every night in the shoot, I can use the e-wipes. And lastly, I have another Skyport Plus HS specifically for the Hasselblad. All right, the other bag I have with me is the f-stop Ajna. The beauty of this pack is you can lay it down on this face like that, and then it has a back panel that opens up And it has these ICUs that you can use to, you know, organize your gear, and these come out so you can select the size ICU that goes in it that you need. But this bag's super versatile because I have, I don't know, half a dozen or more of these ICUs, so I can really tailor the gear to the bag. And then also put a jacket or whatever else, gloves, so if I'm standing down on a ledge down there, I'm not freezing to death. In terms of lighting gear here, we've got, for this shoot, 2 Elinchrom ELB 1200s, and I have the snappies on them to A, protect them, and B, insulate the battery as well. The other key thing is we have backup batteries. We have the HD battery on here, which gives 400 full power pops, which is great. This is the other battery. I think this is an air battery I've labeled. So it only gets, I think, 225 pops with full power. In total, we have 4 batteries with us. In terms of flash heads, we have 4 flash heads in total. We have 2 of the action heads and 2 of the high sync heads. The high sync heads came in handy when we used the DSLRs because it just gives you more power because they can shoot up to 8,000 a second and really throw the light far. And this little Elinchrom bag that comes with this guy, the to-go kit, is great because it's actually pretty rock solid. It insulates everything really nicely, and it's just really compact and easy to use. So in terms of light modifiers, you know, as you've seen in some of these other videos, my go-to is the high performance reflector from Elinchrom. They really throw the light a long distance. For the portraiture, I brought out the Elinchrom Deep Octa, which is one of my favorite light modifiers. I won't pull it out. As you can see, it's all packed in here with all the extra diffusion material. That was our main light source when we did the portrait. And then the other little box I have is, I think it's the 27-inch by 27-inch square box. The one interesting thing I have in this box is that I also have a grid that goes over the front of the box. And that helps control the spill of the light. It's kind of a strange thing to bring a tripod on a rock climbing shoot where you're going to be hanging off a rope. But because the Hasselblad is very sensitive to motion blur, so when I can, I use a tripod pretty much all the time with that camera. It just gives you sharper images. So here I have a Gitzo 5541 LS. It's one of their heaviest duty tripods they make. I also have in here, this is an Aquatech Gore-Tex camera covering. We didn't actually end up using it, but just in case it's going to be really wet, I brought that. This last thing is a monopod from Oben. I go through these pretty often, but this one's carbon fiber. It's done pretty well. So I did use that one day and I used the tripod the next. In terms of light stands, this is the Tenba light stand case. I think it's their 48-inch, their longest one. It's a roller case, which I love. And because this case weighs like 60 pounds, the wheels on it is kind of key. These are the Matthews road rags. These are flags used to block the light, and you put them together kind of like a little mini tent. But they're great for on location. We didn't end up using them, but they're here in this case. I just brought this entire case. There's a reflector, there's a bunch of canvas bags for putting rocks and stuff in to weigh down the stands. We have a variety of light stands in here. I also have a Hollywood Beefy Baby stand in here with a grip arm on it. That one we did use on a couple of the shoots. But we didn't use a whole lot here because we also had with us a pretty amazing Kupo stand. We had a Kupo Cine stand, which is a really heavy duty, big beefy stand, and a 12-foot long boom arm, which is the Kupo Big Boom. That whole combo weighs about 100 pounds. And the boom arm allowed us to really control the light and boost the light way out over into the middle of the gorge pretty effectively. All right, here we have the ice climbing gear. As you might imagine, ice climbing is fairly gear intensive. First thing, ice axes. This is a Black Diamond Cobra. It's a carbon fiber ice axe. I have 2 of these. I also have some older axes that I give to people who are climbing with me. On the other end of the spectrum, you have crampons. You put these on your boots, and this would allow you to stab the ice with your toes so you can front point into the ice and ascend the ice. The other things that are kind of interesting are ice screws. So this is an ice screw, and you pull it off, you can see it's got these pretty radical, wicked sharp teeth. And on the other end, it goes in this way. So you basically just pick in with this a little bit, and then you start rotating the screw, and it pulls itself into the ice. And then you just go really fast, and then you get it in all the way, and then you just clip it, and that's your protection as you go up the ice. Now let's move on to the actual climbing gear, or the ropes and the hardware in these bins. So in this bin I have 3 static lines. Static lines are ropes that don't stretch, and these are just ropes that I use for rigging to get into, you know, to rappel into the ice park or wherever I'm shooting rock climbing or mountaineering. They're in these bags, so they're ready to go. Helmet comes in pretty key because there's always falling ice and you want to make sure your noggin is protected. I've got a climbing harness, and then all of the climbing gear is on a sling. This is the main bit of ice climbing gear, or just climbing gear in general. I also have ascenders. These would be used to get out on the static lines. You can use these, clip them in, and then you can cruise up the static line to get out of the canyon. And other key things are knee pads. May seem like a small thing, but it's fairly cold out here. If you put a knee pad on, it makes it a lot more comfortable when you kneel down on the cold snow. It also protects your knees if you hit your knee on some ice or something like that. I've got 2 sets, one for me and my assistant. So that's the basic climbing gear that we used. It's just, as you see, it's a ton of gear. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed these behind the scenes videos, and see you next time.